Okay, dokey people.
Yeah.
How we doing? How we doing? It's a great day to talk about the 2024 Dynasty rookie class. We're here.
Right.
We've made it. We no longer have to talk about, well, maybe this guy will declare. Maybe this guy will return to school.
No.
We know all
It's
the
official.
answers now. We know exactly who's going to be in the draft and who won't, except for, which I don't think this is going to have much big of an impact, but Talia Tagovailoa, which is Tua's brother, was denied to return to school, so he will be entering the NFL draft. I'm not sure he's even going to get drafted, but in case anyone cared, which probably not, you now have that information to tell nobody. Yeah, you'll be at your dinner table tonight. And how was your day today, Billy? Good, Mom. Did you know that Talia Tagovailoa is not able to return to school? I don't care, Billy. You're a disappointment. But anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate you. If you can see at the top here, yep, we got a new goal, which is 15K. Shout out to everybody who helped us reach 10K over the weekend. Huge love to you guys. We appreciate you so much. You do not even know. But we see in the chat, Daniel Macy is here. He says 100 days until the NFL draft.
Come on, baby. Talk it up.
Hey, 100 days.
Some will say it's too long. It's too long for me to wait for the New York Football Giants to draft a new quarterback. It's too long.
Yep. Andrew is here with us. Waffle House, Cade, Andrew, Parker. We see Rain. We see Mike and Ben and Styles, Jason, Zach. He says, enjoys your show. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us. So today in the stream, we are going to be doing a 2024 rookie Superflex mock draft. We will go through the landing spots that we're using in today's video, but we're going to have some fun. Hopefully you're going to have some fun either joining us or watching along with us. Do us a massive favor, just as you're joining today's stream, do us a huge favor and smash that like button. Y'all know how we reached 10K. Well, it was with the help from people just like yourself, subscribing to the channel, liking the content, helping us grow.
Absolutely.
So do us a favor, as our new goal is 15K, go ahead and smash that like button to help the show out. Now, Badaki, we're going to be doing a 2024 rookie draft.
As always.
And I imagine people are going to want to join. So how can people go about joining today's mock draft?
Yeah, absolutely. All you have to do is join our Discord. That link is going to be in the chat here. And the link is also down in the description of this live stream. Join our Discord. Okay, go to the DynastyLand tab to the left of the screen with the orange footballs, and then go to content releases. That's how you can join each and every mock draft, every live stream, anything that we are doing on YouTube. That's exactly where you can find it, on content releases. So once again, join our Discord, link in the description, link in the chat, DynastyLand tab with the orange footballs, content releases, and I'll send that link to that.
And it's first come, first serve, by the way. We have
Yeah.
no control over who gets in or who doesn't get in, so just keep that in mind. And by the way, just want to let you guys know before we dive into the mock draft, and you know, there's going to be people who are joining now, we want to quickly let you guys know about some exciting news over here on the channel. If you don't know, well, now you know. Our 2024 rookie report has officially released on the Flock Fantasy website. If you want access to it, sign up with our promo code LAND to the Flock Fantasy website. Choose the Mother Flocker tier, and you will instantly be able to access the 2024 Dynasty Rookie Report. This is version 1, V1. We'll have a new version on the 1st of each month. Tight ends will be added in the next version, a whole bunch of new features. I mean, we are so excited to release V2, but we're already excited about what the feedback has been from V1. But of course, you open it up, you can download the PDF for offline use. You can see our rankings, Superflex, one quarterback. You can break down each individual player. I mean, there is so much information already in V1. So go check that out. Not only do you get access to our rookie report if you choose the Mother Flocker tier, you also get our Dynasty Superflex and one quarterback rankings. We also have prospect rankings now, which, by the way, new little feature. If you click on Caleb Williams and you're a Mother Flocker member, you're only going to see this if you're a Mother Flocker member. Look at that little land tab there. Yeah, you want to see what we think about this play. Oh, what the? Okay, upgrades for days. I mean, the dev team are killing it over there. We got prospect rankings on desktop, mobile coming very soon. a new feature that we just added to the site. This is what we are calling the trade finder. So let's say you want to trade with a team, right? And let's say, name a player, Badaki. Go ahead. Shouldn't be that hard. I saw you say Saquon, even though you are muted. He said Saquon Barkley.
It says Saquon Barkley, that's right.
And I'll name a random player, which is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Well, now you can see trades that have happened in real sleeper leagues and exactly when they happened and what format they happened in. I mean, just this morning I looked at, okay, what would happen if you wanted to go from Pat Mahomes to Lamar Jackson? What kind of trades have we seen recently? Well, literally one day ago, you can see trades the exact league format that they happened in. We also have the Dynasty Trade Calculator, which you can customize to your exact needs in your Dynasty team. Tight end premium, Superflex, half full PPR, no PPR, 16 8-man leagues, 15 bench spots. Maybe you got 40 bench spots. I mean, this is by far the best package to support a creator that you will ever find. And I've only told you guys about what's on the website. Outside the website, you also unlock Dynasty, all of the premium Discord channels from us. You unlock the Dynasty Trade Show, which is where we look at your trades in a video weekly. You unlock the Fantasy Hotline, which is a direct DM to us for advice. And you get one of your Dynasty teams reviewed on our channel through a live stream. Tomorrow night, we'll be doing those for the first time in 2024. We will be reviewing people's Dynasty teams, giving them advice and telling them where to go. So come join us tomorrow night. But y'all know we had to plug what was happening. I mean, I'm honestly so proud of what we are a part of and what the developers have been able to build here. So just a little promo, a little plug there. Thanks for hanging through, even if you don't care about it. But we are doing a Superflex draft. So, Badaki, we're going to go ahead and tell people the landing spots that we're using today. This is a mock draft from Draft Countdown. Shout out to Shane Hollum. I know that his brother watches our content. So, shout out to Shane. Shout out to Shane's
brother. Love, brother. We appreciate you.
We do appreciate him. So, these are the landing spots we're going to use for today's exercise. We are acting as if this is real life for today's exercise. You know?
Oh, my goodness. I would like it and dislike it at the same time.
So these are the landing spots. We've got the Chicago Bears going Caleb Williams. Jaden Daniels goes to the Washington Commanders. The Patriots get Drake May at 3. Marvin goes to the Cardinals at 4. Malik Neighbors, I love that, to the Chargers at 5. Ooh, that is hot.
It's nice. Super hot fire.
Then we get Brian Thomas to the Saints at 14. Roma Dunze to the Colts at 15. Brock Bowers to the Bengals at 18. That's hot. Jeez. Troy Franklin to the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy to the Bills, and that's only the first round. In the second round, we get Keon Coleman to the Panthers, Xavier Legette to the Patriots, Adonai Mitchell to your New York Football Giants, Jatavion Sanders to the Commanders. This is hot. Michael Penix to the Vikings. Holy, Bo Nix to the Falcons. This is incredible. Braylon Allen to the Bengals. So we get a running back in the second round. Then we get Ladd McConkey to the Cowboys. I feel like I made this mock draft. I feel like I chose these spots. Jonathan Brooks to the Texans. Wow. Tez to the Lions.
Trey Benson, by the way.
Before Trey Benson. Into the third round, where we see Roman Wilson to the Jets, Ricky Pearsall to the Falcons, JJ to the Broncos, Jacob Cohen to the Bucks, Jalen Polk to the Steelers. Trey Benson goes to the Cardinals in the third. That is awesome. Jalen McMillan to the Texans. Okay. Blake Corum to the Packers. Jalen Wright, my guy, finally getting some love in the third round. Okay. To the Baltimore Ravens. Jamari Thrash to the Niners. We'll go through the fourth and fifth rounds too. In the fourth round, Cade Stover to the Panthers. Bucky Irving to the Chargers. That's awesome.
Love it.
Michael Pratt to the Giants. Audric Estime to the Vikings. Spencer Rattler to the Raiders. Brendan Rice to the Jags. We see Marshawn Lloyd to the Bucks. Malik Washington, my guy, to the Broncos. Jaheim Bell, who I'm talking about in a video this week, to the Texans. Will Shipley to the Niners. Johnny Wilson to the Ravens. Then in the fifth round, we get Jermaine Burton to the Giants. That's awesome. Ray Davis to the Raiders. That's cool. Jordan Whittington to the Bengals. Who else? Anyone relevant? Cody Schrader to the Rams. There's some names here. But anyway, if you guys want to look at the rest, you can. Jakes McClellan to the Cowboys. If you want to look at the rest, the link is in the description. We also put it in the chat, but I'll put it in the chat one more time.
Yep.
Without further ado, Badaki, we are going to start 2024 Dynasty Rookie Superflex Draft, non-tight end premium. It is PPR. All you got to do is draft a kicker and tell me in the chat who you want, and we'll make it happen. So here we go. Let's get it popping.
See you at the top, fam. See you at the top. So much has already happened. I'm excited to kind of dive into it. Thought processes, some players returning back to school.
Yeah.
This is, and you see these mock drafts all throughout off season where you get your guys going to some of the best landing spots. And this is the first mock draft of the year, in my opinion, that we essentially love almost every single landing spot.
Yeah, this is not common.
No, this is not common,
And
which is going to hurt our
I would go on a
feelings
limb,
later.
Badaki, and say this is probably not how the NFL draft's going to go.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, it's going to hurt our feelings when it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And we're going to be very disappointed because we see how great these landing spots are.
How great it can be if we played Madden and we did the
goodness.
landing spots. All right,
wish.
at the 101, we've got Caleb Williams coming off the board. No surprise there. Let's be honest. There's definitely been, I would say there's been more hate on Caleb Williams recently, a little bit of prospect fatigue. You got people who are upset that he paints his nails, Badaki. You got people who are upset that he cried in his mama's lap. Just like, they're trying to find something to be upset about with Caleb Williams, but he's a great prospect. He goes number one last year. Even as good as CJ Stroud has been this year, if you're only looking at them as prospects, he goes number one last year. And he ends up with the Chicago Bears here. So he gets DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, and a new offensive coordinator to work with.
Yeah, no question about it. Very exciting to see this new regime with Caleb Williams here. At the 102, Gyro going, once again, I would say also some prospects fatigue, of course. Marvin Harrison Jr., we name him a generational talent at the wide receiver position. He goes to the Arizona Cardinals, linking up with Kyler Murray. Flip-flop either one of these two picks. I can see, Marvin Harrison going at the 101 or Caleb Williams clearly going at the 101. These are the consensus 101 and 102, most likely going in the majority of your rookie drafts.
And, if I'm a Cardinals fan and we end up not getting Marvin Harrison Jr., I'll be so sad because it's all you've heard for months and months and months.
The thing is, either the Bears have to trade out or New England trades out. I don't see Washington trading out of the top four.
No. We will trade up. We won't trade down.
Yeah, and I keep seeing a lot of mock drafts where New England takes Marvin Harrison Jr., and I'm saying to myself, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, you need a quarterback.
I know. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm at the 103, Badaki, and I want to select three players right here. I want to take three players. If I was at the 102, I'd want to take 4 players. If I was the 101, I would want to take 5 players. And that's why I say my tier 1 is 5 players, because I truly think if you got a top 5 pick in this draft, you're sitting on an absolute gold mine. Do not sell any top 5 picks. Add them if you can, but I think the 101 could be just as valuable as the 105 this year. I really do. And keep in mind, guys, last year, CJ Stroud was a consensus 105. So it's not crazy for me to sit here and say that, right? There's 3 players I really want to draft here. I could go with my homerism and take my guy Jaden Daniels. I love this player. I've stood up for him. He goes to the Commanders at 2 overall after I've been telling people he's going to go high in the draft. But just to make a point, I'm going to go a different way.
Okay.
And, I truly think that this is the perfect player-team combo right here with Malik Neighbors going to the Los Angeles Chargers. No disrespect to Quentin Johnston whatsoever.
Disrespect.
No disrespect to Quentin. But it's historically not very good if you decide it's historically not good, if you look at first year production compared to the rest of someone's career. Not a very good sign. I would confidently say that the Chargers are not feeling secure in their future when it looks like the weapons around him. They're going to get a new head coach. Is that Jim Harbaugh? Potentially. Is he going to want to add a weapon Is he going to want to help his quarterback? Probably. So you get Malik Neighbors in here, and all of a sudden, Keenan Allen doesn't need to be who he was anymore. Mike Williams is coming off an ACL, and Quentin Johnston can be this rotational piece that can develop into a really special player. But I've said this from day one, Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. are in the same tier for me. I don't think there's a reason why they shouldn't be. If Malik Neighbors was named Marvin Harrison Jr. and Marvin Harrison Jr. was named Malik Neighbors, I think a lot of people would probably agree. A lot of people would be like, you know what? Yeah, I do think they're in the same tier, and they both deserve the same amount of respect. I love this player. I see a little bit, when I'm looking at a ceiling, a little Antonio Brown, a little Reggie Wayne, a little DJ Moore to his game. So I love this guy. The number one PFF receiving grade in the nation at 92.7. Versatile player. You can line up all over the field. He is better than Marvin after the catch, and he is a more explosive athlete. So I'm going to take Malik there at the 103, even though I could have taken 3 players.
Yeah, look. Makes sense. Charges, not generational, but an elite fantasy quarterback distributing the ball to an elite yards after the catch wide receiver coming out of LSU. These LSU wide receivers really don't miss, it feels like, the past couple of years. I would say outside of a handful. But, you know, someone like Malik Neighbors is clearly going to be a difference maker immediately, day one, going with the Los Angeles Chargers. So absolutely, definitely makes sense here at the 103. Then we see Clyde at the 104, going with the second quarterback off the board here, going to the Washington Commanders, and that is Jaden Daniels. You see Jaden Daniels going ahead of Drake May in this draft, and you know, you've been saying it for a while. Now we're hearing it a lot in the mainstream media.
I don't hate it.
That Jaden Daniels could be the second quarterback coming off the board based off of, you know, his rushing upside, his ability to have a crazy fantasy success, specifically fantasy success, in my opinion. I'm not saying he won't be a good quarterback, but obviously we're talking about a fantasy perspective. And Jaden Daniels here going to the Washington Commanders, who already have Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson. You see
Ben Johnson coming in hot. Ben Johnson's about. You see what he did with Jared Goff? Woo! Oh boy, you put Jaden Daniels there. Oh my goodness. I mean, could we turn it around in 1 year? I mean, who knows? By the way, I'll just say, I would say if I was to bet money today, I think Drake May is the second quarterback off the board. But my whole thing has been May and Daniels should be in the same conversation, the same way I've said Marvin and Malik should be in the same conversation. So
I would say this: it depends on your head coach. I think you're going to see a lot of flip. You know, what's going to happen? Hypothetically, Ben Johnson, just like you said, you see what he did with Jared Goff. You're going to be like, well, doesn't Drake May's mold kind of fit him a little bit better specifically?
Well, just because he did it with Jared Goff doesn't mean that you have to have a Jared Goff type of player. You can have a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson type of level talent to build around.
I completely agree.
But I love that. That would excite me, especially because you guys know my comp for Jaden is RG3. So if Jaden were to go to Washington, the best year of my life as a Washington fan was 2012 when RG3 looked like a superstar and won the Rookie of the Year. It very quickly stopped, but there would be some emotion there. At the 105, Badaki, though, we see Drake May come off the board. He ended up with the New England Patriots, and honestly, I think this is probably the Patriots' dream scenario where Drake May just falls to them at 3 and they don't have to move up for a quarterback. So they get to build around him. Now, not many weapons. They did draft one in the second round, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But not many weapons to start off with. Not many polished route runners. Pop Douglas is going to have to play his part. They're going to need to prove that team as a whole. But Drake May goes at the 105. And now you're on the clock. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a weapon that I wasn't expecting to go outside the top 10, in my personal opinion. He falls all the way to pick 18 to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to take Brock Powers over some of these wide receivers because I just love this landing spot, you think of T. Higgins potentially no longer being on this team. He probably becomes the second wide receiver. Yes, I could have gone with another wide receiver here. I just like the long-term success potentially with Joe Burrow and Brock Bowers, maybe over some of these wide receivers that are potentially going to be going to another team. Obviously, it's a mock draft, but I love Brock Bowers to the Cincinnati Bengals with the 18th pick in the NFL draft.
By the way, we got a super chat from MP. MP said, gangsters. That's what I'm looking at.
MP, I know you saw that Cat Williams interview with Shannon Sharp.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get Cat Williams on the podcast. Appreciate you, MP. Thank you for the love, man. What's for lunch? Let us know. All right. So Brock Bowers goes off the board. I said this in today's video that we released. We released updated rankings. If you have a top 5 pick, I think you've potentially found gold. If you have a top 7 pick, I think you found silver. And that could be silver that turns into gold somehow, but you also have a very comfortable place as well. Like, just because you're top 7, if you're going to get Bowers or a Dunze, you're living in a good spot, in my personal opinion. But so you take Brock at the 106. At the 107, Rome Odunze comes off the board. And in this mock draft for the NFL, he fell a little bit, which was weird to see. I don't think he is going to last all the way until this pick, but he landed with the Indianapolis Colts with the 15th overall pick. How are you digesting this landing spot and what's around him, I guess?
I think it just depends on how we view this. Does Michael Pittman stay? Exactly. Does he walk? Does he immediately goes into be the number 1 wide receiver, or is he the number 2 wide receiver with Michael Pittman being there? Or is it 1A, 1B type of scenario like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, or Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb? Now, the second part to that as well is Anthony Richardson. Does Anthony Richardson, can he hypothetically produce 2 fantasy relevant wide receivers in a Michael Pittman and Rome Odunze? And let's not even forget about Josh Downs.
Yeah.
We've seen some success from Josh Downs
Alec
as
Pierce, well. We liked Alec Pierce coming out of Cincinnati. He had some flashes this year too.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure I'm in love with this landing spot, but you have to envision still like the prospect, the quarterback that we've seen in Anthony Richardson, the success we've seen as well in the small sample size we saw when the 4 games that he played. I can't recall if he was produced in those 4 sample sizes. He was producing fantasy relevant wide receivers.
You mean Anthony Richardson? Sorry.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson. Sorry.
So he, Michael Pittman balled out with Anthony Richardson. Now, he had a lot of volume, but that's really encouraging because we do have question marks on what Anthony Richardson can be, in the NFL as a passer, not as a just pure rusher. But yeah, when Anthony Richardson was healthy, we saw some pretty good games from Michael Pittman, but it was more like schemed up opportunities because of how good Shane Steichen, is. In week 1, he had 23 PPR points when A-Rich was healthy. In week 4, A-Rich was healthy, and he had 4.5 points. So somewhere in between there, you got some ups, you got some downs, but hey, no pun intended. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So it's an interesting landing spot with the Dunze. I don't think he lasts this long, but I assume if this is your pick, you don't bring Michael Pittman back. But maybe like, hey, let's give A-Rich every opportunity to succeed. But if it's Pittman, if it's Downs, and then a Dunze, I think that's not necessarily ideal. We want him in a position where, and don't get me wrong, I think he could be a better player than Pittman at the end of the day. But you want him in a position where it's like you're not even competing. That's why I don't like the Falcons with Drake London. So it's a tough spot, but you bet on the player here. I think that's the right pick to take a Dunze here in this situation. Yeah,
I completely agree. Michael Pittman, man, quarterback proof. I'll tell you.
At the 108, a player that you and I have liked for pretty much since the beginning, and he's starting to get some hype, which we love to see.
I mean, he's going ahead of Rome Odunze in this draft, by the way.
Yeah, he goes to the Saints, 1 pick ahead of him, Brian Thomas Jr. He stays in the state of Louisiana.
Joins
Chris Olave. I guess it's Derek Carr, Chris Olave, and Brian Thomas, but great player. We love him. I think he complements Olave perfectly. We talk all the time about how, you're trying to build a basketball team with your wide receiver room. Yeah. I mean, you got a shooting guard in Olave. You just got a power forward in Brian Thomas. So I like how they would complement each other a lot. And the good news for Brian Thomas, who is still growing as a route runner, is you got one hell of a route runner on the other side. That's going to demand a lot of attention. You're going to get some one-on-one opportunities. It's almost, and to less of an extent, but it's almost like DK Metcalf stepping into a team that had Tyler Lockett. I think Chris Olave is a better route runner, but you hear where I'm coming from. Like, it's not like
I get you.
You're joining the Panthers, and it's like, oh shit, if you don't separate, you're screwed. So yeah, I like the spot there. I like the pick.
Yeah, I like the pick as well. Don't mind it. Brian Thomas, one of my favorite wide receivers coming out of this class, no doubt about it. We had a jumper here at the 110.
Yeah, don't worry. I've got Trippy in the chat who is going to take that spot and make picks from the YouTube chat.
Okay, perfect.
So don't worry about that. But at the 109, we've got Troy Franklin. Where did he end up?
Troy Franklin goes to the Kansas City Chiefs with the 28th pick in the NFL draft. Troy Franklin.
I like it.
Yeah, he links up there. Good, reliable hands. As you see, Rashee Rice does kind of solidify himself in the playoffs, which is a really good confidence boost if you are a Rashee Rice owner or looking maybe to draft him in your dynasty startups. And now he gets a complimentary wide receiver, someone that can play the slot, someone that can stretch the field, someone that can do everything and anything that, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes needs him to do, and that is Troy Franklin. Is a really tough comparison. You see the Devonta Smiths because of his build, his body. Just a complimentary wide receiver that can take over the slot, in my personal opinion. I really like this.
Really comfortable comping him to Jameson Williams. And one of my concerns actually is his drop issues, because if we're going to say Xavier Worthy had some drop issues, certainly Troy Franklin did as well. But when you talk about wanting a receiver in Kansas City that can create separation consistently and with ease, Troy Franklin meets that criteria, and he gives you a plus because he's so dynamic after the catch. He's so explosive after the catch. You just want to get the ball in that guy's hands. And Andy Reid did a pretty damn good job getting the ball in Rashee Rice's hands, another exciting, explosive athlete. So, I think those guys can complement each other. Troy is a much better route runner than Rice, but obviously they are different frames. Rice is a little bit of a bigger body. So I like that pick there. At the 110, Badaki, we got Trippy in the chat who is taking Xavier Worthy. Where did Xavier Worthy end up in this? It was a first round, right?
Yes, Xavier Worthy does go to the Buffalo Bills with a 30th pick here. Xavier goes. Another wide receiver that I really like that can, in my opinion, play the slot, play the outside, can be a field stretcher and someone that can dominate in the middle of the field. You see his explosiveness, his twitchiness, a guy that can separate. I would say elite speed. He has that elite speed.
You can put that tag on him.
Yeah, 6'1", 172. He can definitely spread the field, really get separation. That's what's exciting here. Now, another player that does have drop issues coming into this class here. But
and it's the drop issues aren't as drastic as a lot of people are making it out to be, but beyond like his drop percentage on PFF, it's just when you watch the All-22, there's a lot of the simple catches that are mistakes. A lot of these guys you watch, you can look at a drop percentage, but the film just speaks a different language, like we say oftentimes. Xavier is dropping a lot of the easy ones that he shouldn't be. He's making the highlight catches, and you even saw that in I think it was the Alabama game. There was an out route he ran in the red zone and just dropped a wide open touchdown. It's just like these simple concentration drops that happen. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say like it's absolutely an issue, but it is a flag we have to raise,
Yeah, and look, that's understandable. I think we're going to see some players that had drop issues that maybe can excel in the next level. He's one of my favorite wide receivers. I think he's a slot / deep threat type of wide receiver 1B type of scenario. You know, he goes there with Stephon Diggs, who is going to be obviously older. If he's even with the team,
It's a great landing spot.
Yeah, like you can see the pathway to success at the Buffalo Bills, but then I won't be surprised that they get an even bigger wide receiver. You know, hypothetically, they get a T. Higgins in free agency and they let go of Stephon Diggs and draft an Xavier Worthy. That's still very good complementary wide receiver duo, which is exciting. So I like Xavier Worthy here.
Well, it's funny because you look at what Khalil Shakir is doing and you're like, let's just upgrade that times 100. You know, like let's upgrade that times 100 and give him 3 more targets a game or something, you know, so that could be really exciting. I think he complements Diggs and Kincaid really well. We've got a pick at the 111, and unfortunately I thought he would fall to me at the 2-3 and I could take my sleeper, but he's gaining steam. I feel like all my sleepers will no longer be sleepers. I feel like, you know, they're just all rising. Lad, the space creator, comes off the board here. He went to the Cowboys in the 2nd round. He's the perfect complement to a guy like CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. In that offense that throws the ball that much, with how easy he can create separation. Oh my gosh. That's
interesting.
Hot.
This landing spot does scare me a little bit because we haven't seen specifically this year Dak Prescott spread the ball around. Now as JJ.
We did it at the beginning of the year. We did towards the end.
You're right.
Brandon Cooks became a much bigger factor towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely saw that. And I would say, you know, Lamb McConkey is I'm not necessarily sure if he's a better route runner than Brandon Cooks in his prime. Even though Brandon Cooks is not in his prime right now.
I think he has the like they're very different players, but he has the upside to become that good of a route runner, but certainly not in Brandon Cooks' prime. I mean, that dude is cooking fools down the field on a daily basis.
Yeah, in his prime. But yeah, look, it's an interesting landing spot. I wonder if he gets a little bit lost and faded in this offense. Maybe that's just my concern of how much CeeDee Lamb takes over this offense. But maybe he is a good, you know, low-end wide receiver 2 flex option in this offense, specifically in this world. But yeah, somebody that is still very exciting when it comes down to seeing him on the field.
And the last pick in the 1st round is a 2nd round quarterback. You know, where those other 3 quarterbacks go in the NFL draft will heavily impact the 1st round of your super flex drafts. Bo Nix, JJ, Michael Penix. In this draft, those guys don't go in the 1st round, but Michael Penix does go in the 2nd round, top 50 pick, and he goes to a spot that people are dreaming of, which is the Minnesota Vikings. So he goes to Minnesota, and now he gets to replace Kirk Cousins. Maybe they bring Cousins back, and they slowly work Penix into being the starter at some point, but that would certainly indicate to us that, hey, at some point, we're going to get Michael Penix as a starter here, and he's going to have Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson to work with an incredible coach in Kevin O'Connell. I mean, in a super flex format, hard not to take a shot on a guy like that, who we have our own concerns of. Didn't 100%. Feel like he was a 1st round pick before the college football playoffs because of the injury history. It's as deep as your grocery shopping list. But who knows? If someone finds him to be their guy, they could jump up into the 1st. In today's mock, he's a 2nd round pick to the Vikings.
Yeah, and he fits this landing spot perfectly. You know, he is not somebody that is going to be utilizing his legs often. We haven't seen that. He likes to stay in the pocket. If you think about it, yes, he is a more mobile, more athletic Kirk Cousins, but he is an elite backup quarterback that can come in and distribute the ball to, like you said, those talented people that he has on his team. So yeah, Michael Penix Jr. to the Minnesota Vikings here with the 102.
That's the end of the 1st round. Do us a massive favor, guys. Go ahead and smash that like button. You guys are being incredible today. We're only 8 likes away from 100. Typically, when we're at the end of the 1st round, we're about 50 likes away from 100. So you guys are awesome. Thank you for supporting the channel. Again, the reason we hit 10K is because of people like you who like the content. Maybe you think we're dumb and you want your, you know, league mates to see us. That's fine. But people who like the videos, like the streams, and subscribe. So go ahead, do us a favor, and hit that like button for us to show some love. Just 8 likes away from the century mark. So let's talk about this in the chat. I want the chat to tell us who was the best value in the first round? And I'll quickly ask you the same question, Badaki. Best value in the first round of this mock draft.
You know, I can say at least 3 people, in my opinion.
Just say one, though. Your best value. Can only pick one.
The best value.
I want to know the chat's opinion, too.
The best value in this one, I think I would have to go with Drake May. I think getting a quarterback at the 105 here is such a good value in my opinion. And yeah, people are saying it. May. I think if you get a quarterback like this at this caliber to an offense at the 105, like you said, you're getting CJ Stroud was a consensus 105, and at the time, it felt like you just didn't know if it was going to hit. But if it did, you're buzzing that you have CJ Stroud. He's probably worth 3 firsts right now, 2 firsts, right? Like,
oh yeah, you don't even trade that guy. You give your firstborn for him.
100%. So I would say Drake May.
Okay, I can definitely see that. Let's get into the second round here. With the 201, we have a quarterback off the board, and that is one Bo Nix. You and I do like us some brother Bo Nix. Where did he go in this mock draft, Badaki?
He goes to the Atlanta Falcons in the second round, early second round.
I like that.
It looks like he goes to the Atlanta Falcons, and that's exactly where you want him to go. You know, you see in Oregon that he was somebody that was just distributing the ball very well and efficient and accurate, and he has the weapons to do that here with Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson. We've seen so many other wide receivers getting mock drafted to this team. Do they go out and get another weapon? The foundation that he has around him already, and now Arthur Smith is going to be away. Does Bill Belichick come in because he just interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons, and you get brother Bo in this offense? My goodness, he will be one of the steals of the draft if that is the case, and he is as successful. 6'2", 200, nearly 20 plus pounds. Elite accuracy, which is phenomenal, and that's what you want. Somebody that can distribute the ball and be accurate and really just be an above average game manager. I think this is what he can be. With some fantasy success. So that's exciting.
Yeah, y'all know what I call him. He's I've been coining a term to try and put more respect on these game manager profiles. I haven't heard anyone say it, so I'm going to start coining this term. He is a point guard plus. A point guard plus. One, you need to be a point guard to be a good quarterback in the NFL. You need to run an offense seamlessly and distribute the ball. That's a very important part of playing quarterback. But the plus part is every, 3 to 4 to 5 times a game where he needs to throw off platform or he needs to extend the play, he can do that for you, like we have seen with the likes of a Brock Purdy. Now, look, if you put Bo Nix in New England with the weapons that he currently has, probably a little more concerns, right? Less weapons to distribute it to, more concerns around what the offense might look like or how he can kind of replicate that offense in Oregon, but he is a point guard plus profile, so I like the pick there. I think it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, Trent, you're not wrong. He threw the ball at he didn't okay, that's a little drastic. He didn't throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage 70% of the time. I know that's probably hyperbole. But yes, he did run an offense where there was a lot of dink and dumps. So you kind of have to look beyond just that completion percentage. But he was a very accurate thrower, not only in short areas, but also down the field. He was a good deep ball thrower the times that he did throw the ball down the field. So there's a good baseline for an NFL coach to work with brother Bo Nix. But let's go ahead and go to the 202. This is one of your favorite sleepers, Xavier Legette. Where did he go?
He went to
Patriots.
The New England Patriots with the second pick in the second round. Now he instantly comes in my opinion, jumps up to be the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. 6'3", 200 plus pounds. I kind of marked him as a DKS body, big body frame. Now, does he play like DK? Is as talented? I wouldn't say so, but he has a big body build and threat that he can bring to this team, and somebody that can demand presence. I'm not saying he's going to demand targets in this offense, but he can instantly bring a big body receiver to this offense where he can go up and catch the ball. He has crazy hops that can go up in the air as well. Has one of the best drop percentages as well When I say best, like mean lowest.
Yeah,
only
he's got
3%.
really good hands.
Yeah, really good hands there. So the only problem is that he's 22 years old. He's an older type of breakout player. He is a 5th-year senior, but I really like his gameplay. Once again, pro ceiling, in my opinion, is a DK Metcalf-ish type of player. And once again, he's going into the perfect situation here with Drake May and him instantly becoming the #1 wide receiver in this offense.
Yeah, and what I would say as well is, the knocks on Xavier Legette are obvious. For 4 years, he did nothing. And we aren't claiming that because he broke out in his 5th year, he's going to be successful in the NFL. But we are more excited about his traits, right? The freak athlete that he is, the things that you cannot teach. So, yeah, I mean, he's a fun player to think about if he were to develop in the NFL. I'm up at the 203. And again, I think there's 7 players I want to draft here. Like, there's actually 7 players I want to draft. However, I'm going to take a second to shine a light on a player that you and I did not expect to declare. We are extremely excited that he is in this draft. I think it's a huge boost to this class, specifically the worst position in this class, which is the running back spot. This was my RB1 before his injury, and I don't think he gets second-round draft capital. But again, in today's world, we're living in a world where he is a second-round pick, and I'm going to go ahead and take him here. It is Jonathan Brooks out of Texas. I love me some Jonathan Brooks. He was so exciting to watch. His film was just next level. It popped. Super exciting player. Great pass catcher. This will be a screen game nightmare. Think about what Travis Etienne did in the screen game this year. You get this guy, 2 to 4 screen passes a game. He could take it to the house on any given one. Super fluid in the open field. Silky smooth movement. Can accelerate quickly, decelerate quickly. Good vision. Some of the best vision in the class. Now, this is a wait and see approach. But if he's getting a second round pick by the Houston Texans, and we saw what Devin Singletary was able to do, and you and I talked about Dameon Pierce, he doesn't fit the offense. Well, no, guess who fits the offense like a glove? Jonathan Brooks, the guy who I see a little Travis Etienne, a little Miles Sanders, before Carolina, Penn State Miles Sanders, a little Florida State Cam Akers to his game. Now, we have to be patient because of the ACL, but in that offense where he fits the offense like a glove compared to Dameon Pierce, and seeing what Devin Singletary did as a starter, I'll take Jonathan Brooks here and as the first running back off the board.
First running back off the board, second running back taken in the NFL draft. He was somebody I was hoping that was going to fall to me at the 206, but that is not the case. I mean, I was doing a little bit of research. You think of Devin Singletary when he took over this backfield after the bye week in week 8. He was the RB16 from weeks 8 to 18. Now just elevate that with Jonathan Brooks. The talent, the opportunity, the way he can manipulate defenders in space. That's exactly what he's going to have with an elite quarterback that can score, that can move the ball down the field on a game-to-game, week-to-week, play-to-play basis, drive-to-drive basis. That is a phenomenal landing spot. And I said this in our updated rookie rankings. I will not be surprised if Jonathan Brooks is going to be my #1 running back again with all this ACL tear, and his value is going to rise. We already seen it. I literally said, I will not be surprised if we see Jonathan Brooks at the 201, 202, 203. You just took him at the 203. And this is before the hype of him getting the reports that, hey, Jonathan Brooks is on pace to start in week 1. Jonathan Brooks goes to a good team. This is exactly what I'm talking about already that is happening.
Yeah. I will say, though, like I mentioned earlier, I do not think this is realistic. I do not see a running back that has torn his ACL and late in the year being selected in the second round. I mean, guys, Breece Hall was a second round pick, and he was healthy. Ken Walker was a second round pick, and he was healthy. In a much stronger class, we don't expect a running back to go in the second round. If they do, that's great. There's certainly talented enough guys too, but you're talking about a super talented guy, but has a torn ACL. So again, I'm just living in this world that we're in, but I don't think it's realistic to expect him to be a second round pick as much as I would love for that to be the case.
I hear you.
But Jatavion Sanders comes off the board next, and he was definitely someone I was considering. Perfect landing spot. I mean, he falls with Jaden Daniels in the Washington Commanders. He goes in the second round. Washington needs a tight end like Jatavion Sanders, excuse me. So now you've got Terry McLaurin, you got Jahan Dotson. We'll see what happens with Curtis Samuel in free agency, but you add Jatavion Sanders. Jaden Daniels is set up to win day one, and Jatavion's a very good athlete, very explosive after the catch. I like that pick there.
Yeah, I don't mind the pick here. Yeah, goes to I would say a stacked offense already with a upgrade at quarterback. Once again, new head coach coming in, so that's really exciting here.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what happens here at the 205. Lots of good options still on the board. Okay, so at 205, we see another running back. That is Braylon Allen.
Goes in the second round to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay.
He takes over, this Joe Moneybag Mixon's role. I think we both kind of brought Joe Mixon at certain points so far in the year already. He's most likely going to be leaving this team. He took a pay cut last year.
Well, that's what I was actually thinking about, by the way, is, sorry to interrupt. He took a pay cut last year, but that was not only for the year he was in. It was for the year after, too. So his contract is no longer expensive, the more I was thinking about that. Like, he took over a $4 million pay cut in 23, and he's also doing that in 24. So they might not need to cut him, but, if they're desperate and they want to sign team, maybe. But it sounds like they've already made plans to keep him.
Right.
But Braylon Allen joins the Bengals. Second round.
He joins the Bengals. I mean, in this world, Joe Mixon's not on this team. Braylon Allen, Chase Brown, downtown. Something exciting could happen here in this backfield.
That's what I was going to say. I think Chase Brown complements Braylon Allen really well. I would not expect Braylon Allen to be there on third downs. Joe Mixon wasn't on third downs very much. I wouldn't expect Braylon Allen to be very involved in the passing game, but he certainly would have a lot of touchdown opportunities with this offense that he's a part of.
Yeah, I would completely agree. All right, I'm on the board here. On the clock. I mean, there's a lot of ways I can go.
Yep.
I see a couple running backs that are interesting. I see a couple wide receivers. But there is a quarterback that I do kind of want to talk about here because I do believe he lands in a good landing spot.
Okay.
I haven't drafted him ever.
Yeah.
That's JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
He goes to the Denver Broncos. Now, it is a third round pick.
That's what makes it hard there, is the third round. Like, why not the second if he's your guy,
Yeah, exactly. I hear you. Why is not the second if he's your guy? But JJ McCarthy goes to the Denver Broncos. They're already talking about Russell Wilson is no longer going to be on this team. Is there any competition that's going to be brought in for JJ McCarthy? Is there going to be a Geno S type of competition? Or I doubt. I think it was Jarrett Stidham that is the backup for the Denver Broncos. Do they get? I doubt they get Justin Fields. But this is another quarterback and another player that Sean Payton does invest in. And now, is Jerry Jeudy going to stay? Is Cortland Sutton going to stay? What we do know is Marvin Mims and Javonte Williams is on that team, so it's not like he's left with nothing. Well, but yes, I agree.
We did see Cortland Sutton kind of give like a farewell post on Instagram. I don't know what that means. It doesn't feel like Judy's the future of this team. So you might have limited options, but you're right in the sense of like, if Sean Payton is making this decision, this is probably the guy he's going to try and build around,
Yeah.
You just got to be patient.
Yeah, so I'll take him here. I wonder if he would have fell and how far he would have fell. But once again, I'll take a shot here in a super flex league. Maybe I need my third quarterback and he pops off.
So there was like 7 players I was really just thinking about at my pick. And one of them I was very, very close to taking. It has just come off the board. That is Adonai Mitchell. He comes off the board here at the 2-7. I think that is
Giants, baby.
a steal. He goes to your Giants in the second round. In the first round, you guys got Olu Fashanu, I believe, so you're improving your offensive line. Maybe they put Neal at guard or something, and you got Thomas and Fashanu on the bookends. But you do still have to throw the ball or catch the ball from Daniel Jones. So Who knows what happens there? Daniel Jones has really never, ever, if you look back at his history, I know this from research last year, he has never produced a fantasy relevant wide receiver, like consistently throughout a year. But he's never had a receiver like Adonai Mitchell. So maybe that's the missing piece.
Yeah, look, it can be the missing piece. I think it's just another. I like Adonai Mitchell. I don't like him going to the Giants personally. I think, look, it's exciting. I like the talent. I hate that he goes to my Giants because it's just another big wide receiver. That's like, okay, you're gonna what are you gonna do? Develop him and have Daniel Jones? I'd rather them just draft a quarterback or offensive lineman.
Sure.
And figure out something. And I feel like it could just be a dead spot, to be honest, as a Giants fan. But it's just another wide receiver that they drafted. They drafted Wandell the year before. They drafted Jalen Hyatt the year before. Now Adonai Mitchell. Who's your guy?
Well, I would say
I'm not saying I understand these guys are more talented, but like they keep drafting a wide receiver in the second rounds. I get it, but like make somebody the number one, and nobody is the number one.
What I would say, because I hear you there, is in this scenario, this is not what Giant fans want. They do not want to stick with Daniel Jones. What I will say, in fairness, this is the best receiver you guys have had on your roster since OBJ. I don't think I'm not comparing them as talents, but I can't think of a more talented receiver on your roster than Adonai Mitchell since OBJ. So at least at a minimum, you're giving Daniel Jones something to build around. Yeah. Something to try and, and revive his career with. So Adonai Mitchell, a very special player. Unicorn has said it in the chat. We've said it in multiple videos. He's not a very big yak threat. He's just not.
No, he's a big body receiver that's going to spread the fields.
Need that. At the 208 is where we're at now. Mike says nobody wants to get their hands dirty and do the work. Don't worry, guys. I got us. So he takes the chosen one, and Keon Coleman comes off the board. Now, Keon Coleman went to the Panthers with the first pick in the second round. You and I have talked about this landing spot before. I truly, honestly believe that this is a terrible landing spot. Now, we're not going to talk about Keon as a talent. You can agree or disagree if you think he's more talented than we do or if you don't. Whatever you think about him, can we all agree this is not a good fit for Bryce Young and for this offense? You want a wide receiver that can separate well. The biggest issue in Carolina is nobody can separate outside of 39, 47-year-old Adam Thielen, right? And he's struggling to stay healthy. He's struggling to, not break his bones while he's out there. So you add a receiver who's talented, but his biggest weakness is separation. I'm not sure this is going to be the answer that the Panthers want it to be, but it's almost a first-round pick, and clearly the volume's going to be there.
Yeah, look, the volume is going to be there. I would say this. If Keon Coleman goes to the Panthers, I'm really concerned for Bryce Young personally. If Adonai Mitchell goes, Xavier Legette goes, Ladd McConkey, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk goes. Okay, you're getting a player that you hope to build around, but Keon Coleman is not, once again, I'm really harsh on him. Is somebody that I will feel confident in if I have drafted Bryce Young in the past to say, man, like,
let's say this: if you own Bryce Young in Dynasty in the Superflex League and they draft Keon Coleman, you're kind of like, oh, damn it! I could have drafted someone who could separate better.
Yeah, exactly. You could have drafted, name a wide receiver. I would be like, okay, I can see how it can fit the offense, and I can see how you could build around him.
Now,
Keon Coleman, I don't see that.
Certainly has more upside than other wide receivers that were on the board. If he puts his entire game together, he can be a very good player, I believe. But not a great fit with the team and the quarterback. Regardless, I get why the pick was made. A lot of people like Keon. At the 209, this is where we're going to see another running back come off the board. Blake Corum, who, correct me if I'm wrong, went to the Packers in the third round.
Yes, he does go to the Packers, 93rd overall pick to the Green Bay.
Excuse me. Let's see what happens with Aaron Jones. I don't think you draft Blake Corum in the third round if you keep Aaron Jones. But we've liked Corum on this channel. I said this in a video this week, and I'll say it again. If the college football playoffs drastically changed your opinion of Blake Corum, respectfully, you probably never watched the guy's film to begin with, because this is what we've been seeing throughout his career. He hasn't risen in my rankings. He hasn't dropped in my rankings. I think this is a good running back that can contribute to a roster for sure. Now, is he ever going to be a top 12 asset in Dynasty? Probably not, but you know, he can be like a running back 2 range. I could see him at one point being ranked RB 15 to 24, somewhere in between there. A guy who is like, yeah, I don't have Bijan, but I got a couple Blakes on my roster, and I've got good wide receivers that I can build around, you know? So good player, good vision, Maurice Jones-Drew, Ray Rice type of build. And, you know, he's certainly not the most explosive athlete, but very smart player, great vision.
Yeah. And yeah, look, Blake is a great running back. I was thinking like maybe he will be really successful in the standard league.
Yeah,
he's somebody that you're gonna want in the standard league because he's gonna get the yardage for you potentially. But maybe I'm just tripping about that and overthinking it. But
before we get to the next pick, by the way, shout out to El Tigre for being a YouTube member for 20 months. That is absolutely incredible. Man. Thank you for the continued support, Tigre. You are awesome. He says, I've got the 102 and the 105 in Delta Dynasty. Chef's kiss. Mwah.
Chef's kiss.
Trade it to me. You don't want those picks. Trade me those picks, Tigre. I'll give you a good deal. Jokes. Thanks for the love, man. All right. At the 210, a wide receiver that I like, that definitely rose in my rankings when I gave him a second look. But the landing spot, like Keon, for different reasons, is not necessarily ideal. Devontae Walker comes off the board at the 210. Now, we like Tez the player. Don't love this landing spot. He goes to the Lions in the second round. And you think about it. Is he ever going to surpass Amon-Ra St. Brown? Absolutely not. Is he ever going to pass Sam Laporta? Very unlikely. Jameson Williams, where will they kind of debate between those two names? Jameson Williams is improving. Don't sleep on him. And then you got one of the best pass-catching running backs in the backfield in Jahmyr Gibbs. So when you think about volume, which is so important in fantasy, you struggle to come up with the answers with this landing spot. It's great for this team. We like the player, but let's see what happens.
Yeah. Look, let's see what happens. This is one of, in my opinion, I would say one of the worst landing spots for a wide receiver to go to at the moment, just based off all the talent that's around him. Not because it's a bad team, but just because there are too many mouths to feed, and it's not somewhere that we can see fantasy success coming from a wide receiver going into the second round. So I completely understand that. All right, at the 211, Daniel takes a running back. You're RB1.
Is he gonna fall to the 3-3 here? I thought I was about to get a steal.
I would say this is probably one of the best values so far in the second round here. And that is Trey Benson.
It's my guy, but I think this is the best value in the draft so far.
Yeah, look, I can definitely see that for sure. Trey Benson going to the Arizona Cardinals. If I'm not mistaken, in the third round. In the third round here, he takes over that James Conner role. We've seen the success. So you see Kyler Murray with Marvin Harrison Jr. If I'm not mistaken, do they get a wide receiver or offensive lineman? Because don't they have 2 first this year?
They do. I don't remember what they did.
Yes, they get an offensive tackle. They get a Mims. I don't know. A Marcus Mims. Anyways.
Amarius Mims, the tackle out of Oklahoma. This is a great landing spot. Now, James Conner is still on contract for a year, so he's probably not going to be the guy from day one. Conner's played really well. But what I will say is James Conner contract ends after 2024. Trey Benson's going to be in a great position to lead that backfield, and he'll probably eat into James Conner's opportunities as the season goes on, a la Rashad White to Leonard Fournette in his rookie year, a la Tajay Spears to Derrick Henry. So, yeah, I think you're setting yourself up for a potential starting running back in a year's time.
Yeah, and it's a great landing spot once again. So you can see the pathway there. At the 212, Jalen Polk goes off the board, and I'm trying to figure out where he went to.
So I was trying to find. Where did he go?
I'm looking. He went to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 3rd round.
Oof, that's a tough one.
Another tough landing spot. Quarterback carousel over there. Unfortunately, Kenny Pickett. What's going to happen over there? You got Deontay Johnson, George Pickens. Just not looking good over there for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though they made the playoffs. But still,
yeah,
a lot of negative stuff.
Out of nowhere, they almost came back in that game. The window was opened, shall we say? But
yeah, window was open.
This landing spot is really the worst case scenario for a player like Jalen Polk, a guy who I believe has only wide receiver 2 upside. You know, the upside to be a complementary piece to an NFL offense. And I say that because you've got now Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth that you're all competing with. So it's a little bit of a more difficult pathway. But he's a talented player. It's just not a good quarterback, a lot of weapons to compete with, and a player that I don't think is talented enough to surpass the options on that team right then.
Yeah, completely agree.
So let me ask people. That is the 2nd round. We will do a 3rd round. We'll do a quick fire 3rd round. What we want to know from you guys who are watching is who is the best value in the 2nd round? Let me know in the comments below right now who was the best value in the 2nd round. Y'all heard what I just said recently because y'all know I love my boy Trey. I'm surprised he fell that far, honestly, because I was considering him at the 103. At the 103, it was Trey, Jonathan, Adonai that I was really considering. Let me ask you, Badaki, though. Who do you think was the best value in the 2nd round?
No, I mean, I've said it. I still believe it is Trey Benson.
Okay.
Personally, he is. I mean, 3rd round running back, going to a team in the future that could be a pillar for your dynasty team. I think everyone has to think it's Trey Benson. But, I mean, a lot of people are saying Benson, Brooks, JJ. Some people say Blake. So.
Yeah. Well, if JJ became the starter of that team, we don't even know if he's good. We don't need to know if he's good. But if he became the starter of that team at some point in 2024, that would be the steal of the draft.
Well, he's gonna be like.
Yeah, there's no way they draft him to not let him compete.
Exactly. He's going to be competing with a quarterback that's probably not going to be as, like I said, a Jarrett Stidham or a backup quarterback that's going to be available somewhere in the free agency this year. He's going to compete with those guys, and why not throw him in week 1? Get him going. Yes. I don't know. Get him going.
That is something that people don't talk about enough is how good of a pass catcher Trey Benson is. He didn't have the opportunities. Guys, he had Keon Coleman, Jaheim Bell, and Johnny Wilson to compete with for target share. But when they used him in the passing game, much better than people realize. So I'm glad that was brought up. My RB1 in the class. So I'm glad to see people think he's a value. Now, let's be honest, though. When you're doing a rookie draft, typically the players that are drafted down the board, it's easier to call them values, right? Because you're getting the better players maybe at times at the beginning of the board. But that's the end of the 3rd round, or the 2nd round. Do us a huge favor, guys. Go ahead and smash that like button. If you have yet to do so, we had a goal to hit 10K. We reached it because of your help. You guys helped us by watching our content, by liking the streams, by subscribing. So do us a favor. Go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to get into the 3rd round. Now, here's how it's going to go. Just keep drafting kickers. Keep going. Just keep drafting kickers all the way down to the 3rd round ends. And we need you guys to quick fire your picks in the chat. And we will go through the 3rd round quickly. And by the way, we will leave a Q&A at the end of the stream. So we don't want to ignore you guys. We also want to focus on the draft as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
At the 301, my heart is torn out of my chest because another one of my favorite sleepers is taken. Just picks before me. Jalen McMillan comes off the board, and I believe he went in the 3rd round.
He does. He goes to the 3rd round, and he goes to. It was the team that he went to the Houston Texans.
Okay, so he goes to the Houston Texans in the 3rd round. Now, that's a tough spot because I do believe he can produce like the other wide receivers have been there, but there's not necessarily like a clear like need you know, for him to step up in year one. But love this player, and I'm gonna have so much Jalen McMillan if he ends up being available in the 3rd round. Same with Puka and Tank last year. What we did last year at the 302, Roman Wilson comes off the board. I'm not a big Roman Wilson guy. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to scout him yet. But I'm not a big Roman Wilson guy. I think he's better suited for college than he is the NFL. But if you like the player, you can take him here. It's a 3rd round. Take a shot on guys that you like. You know, it doesn't need to be that complicated.
Yeah, he goes to the Jets here. Not too crazy of a landing spot. I mean, you can see opportunity and a pathway there if everyone is no longer on this team. Like you think of a Lazard, you think of all those guys. But he can step up. You just never know. But with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I need to make a pick now, and I've been talking about everyone's picks that I haven't really actually sat down and looked at what I'm gonna do. So I need to make a decision. Let me look at 2 names. I want to see where these 2 names went, and I don't want to say them on the stream because I don't want. If anybody wants to take them, I don't want to ruin that for them. So let me just see where these 2 names went. Oh, that's a terrible landing spot.
Take him anyway.
He's pretty much the same player that they have there. That's his upside. That sucks. I think what I'm gonna do.
I got who you're gonna take, and
I'm gonna go with a running back that went in the 4th round. I think he fits this offense perfectly. Now, I would not personally compare him to Austin Eckler. However, he is going to step into Austin Eckler's shoes potentially. There's a chance. I'm going to go ahead and take Bucky Irving here at the 203. He went to the Los Angeles Chargers in the 4th round. Now, this is what's weird. The Chargers have been trying to find a really efficient runner, and I'm not saying that Bucky won't be that, but Bucky doesn't certainly fit the bill of this traditional 1st and 2nd down back in the NFL. So is this now their pass catching back who could develop into the starter? And, does Joshua Kelly or Isaiah Spiller take the 1st and 2nd downs, or they find someone in free agency? Regardless, it's simple. I like the player in PPR formats. I like the landing spot. I'll take him here at the 303.
Yeah, Bucky Irving, I think, is one of my favorite running backs coming out of this class. PPR upside. Very twitchy, quick, explosive, great jump cut. And I think the more I watch him, the more I understand, the more I see, I feel like he is my James Conner. The James Conner coming in, I was saying he can do it all, and we saw it this year.
James Conner or Jerome?
James Cook. James Cook.
James Cook? Okay, sorry, I was trying to.
He is my James Cook.
Okay.
I was really big on James Cook coming in, saying that he was going to, be an all-down back, and we saw him with the all-down back opportunity. Look how successful he was. Great vision. Now, does Bucky Irving have the same vision as someone like a James Cook? Probably not.
He's probably not the same athlete either, but.
No, but he does have the quick explosiveness in the short areas and the pass catching ability, which is exciting in a PPR format.
I agree.
So I'm really liking Bucky Irving in a, once again, PPR format in the future.
I think that's so true in the sense of they could offer a similar role, right?
Yeah.
You just might not get the same efficiency from a guy like Bucky, but yeah, I like it. Mason from Dynasty Football Flock is in the chat.
Hey.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining
How
us.
you doing,
Love. At the beginning of the
Appreciate
stream, we talked about the site and just how incredible it is. I mean, our devs have been killing it. Okay, so the next pick, which is right before you, is going to be Audric Estime. And I feel like in the 3rd round, you start to kind of just take shots on running backs that you like. It's not a very good running back class, but you're in the 3rd round. If there's a landing spot that makes sense and you like the player, hey, go ahead and take a shot. That's what's happening here with Audric Estime, who the landing spot's actually pretty good. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings in the 4th round. So they have no clear answer. And why not let Audric kind of take that 1st and 2nd down role? Ty Chandler is probably best suited to be in the Alexander Madison role when Dalvin Cook was there, if that makes sense. You know, the pass catching, speedy guy. So yeah, Audric off the board there. Let's see what happens at the 305.
Let's see.
He says, I guess I'll take my GOAT, Cade Stover. Do I have a graphic for Cade Stover? You guys are making me reach deep into my bag here.
We haven't had
I have a graphic for Cade Stover.
We do. Okay.
So Cade comes off the board. Where did he even go?
I honestly do not know. Let's see.
So we don't really know where he went. He went to the Panthers in the 4th round.
Okay.
Makes sense. Hayden Hurst, you know, those health issues. And then, you know, kind of needs to, they need to find a long-term replacement. Apparently, Mason is saying that Cade Stover is a childhood friend.
Oh,
wait, like for Mason or for?
Nah, I think he was just a joke. Like JC says, as you know, Mason is BFF with Bijan.
Right. Okay. I thought you were talking about Cade. I was like, damn, that's a random connection. But, you know, they are best friends, confirmed. But yeah, Cade comes off the board here. And I'll be honest, guys, I don't know much about Cade Stover outside of the film that I've watched on Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Travion Henderson. So I've obviously seen him play in games and when I've scouted those other players. But the good news, if you are on the Flock Fantasy website, you're using the promo code LAND, so you support us, you will have access to V2, which comes out on February 1st, where we will have the tight end scouted for you guys in the rookie package. So he's coming out. He'll be a part of that package there, I believe. Yeah. We'll have to double check. You're up at the 3-6. What are you thinking?
Yeah, at the 3-6 here, a couple of options you can go. I'm just going to go with the running back. I see the running back that you said has a terrible landing spot, and I completely agree. So I'm just going to punt that landing or that player. I'm going to go to my next best available player according to my rankings, and that is sweet baby Ray Davis.
Okay.
He goes to the Las Vegas Raiders. In this world, you're thinking, look, not the best draft capital. You have Zamir White there. Does Josh Jacobs re-sign? He could potentially take over this backfield. I would say he is a more interesting... he's a bigger body athlete that is quick as well, which is very interesting. We call him Sweet Baby Rays. And I like him going here to the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'll take a shot on him.
Yeah, we both, when we finished our scouting, I was excited that we were both in on Ray Davis. He's an older guy, 5th-year senior, probably not going to get good draft capital, just like we saw in this mock draft. But his story is my favorite story of any player in the draft. We're talking about a guy who everything he's ever had in his life, he earned himself. He did not grow up with parents. He was in and out of foster homes growing up. He was homeless for a time. The only reason that he went to Temple, then transferred to Vanderbilt, then transferred to Kentucky is on his own merit. Everything he did by himself. And he's just a very impressive human being that also happens to be a good athlete. So Ray Davis comes off the board. Big fan of his game. I don't think he's going to be like... his athleticism is probably not going to translate as well in the NFL. He's not a... transcendent talent, but I've compared him to Jaylen Warren a lot. The Jaylen Warren route. Late round pick. I think Warren was undrafted, but he's going to get into that RB room, and they're going to be forced to give him a role because of how much he works for it,
Yeah, I agree.
So Ray's off the board.
I agree.
And one of my favorite running back sleepers comes off the board next. That is Jalen Wright. Y'all know I love me some Jalen Wright. As a sleeper, a deep sleeper, brought out that video a couple weeks ago. He comes off the board, and this is the first NFL mock draft I've seen where he's had any sort of respect. He went in the 3rd round to the Baltimore Ravens. Great spot because we've seen what Gus Edwards has done on limited opportunities. We saw Keaton Mitchell there as well. So Jalen Wright, who averaged over 7 yards per carry in the SEC this year in a rotation, but that's still impressive. He comes off the board there at the 307. And we've got Perg on the clock, or Will Shipley, comes off the board next.
Yeah.
Will Shipley is not a name that either of us are excited about. And of course, the combine, draft capital ultimately ends up being the most important factor for these running backs. But just purely from film evaluation, not a very exciting player. It's also not a very good sign when you lose your job and then you go to the NFL draft. Not really a great sign. But in this mock draft, Will Levis goes to the Niners in the 4th round.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dead asset with CMC.
It's a dead asset, 100%. And it's more of a special teams player, and maybe a little bit harsh. I think he's going to be a guy that is either going to get undrafted or get drafted one of these late round picks to be in the special teams. You see a lot of running backs getting drafted in those late rounds to go on special teams. So Will Shipley, interesting prospect, not someone that I'm expecting a lot from in the NFL.
Yeah. At the 309, this name has been gaining some steam lately.
Yes, I've been hearing him a lot as well.
In version 2, I'm going to take a deeper look at him and see if I potentially missed something in my first round of scouting, because it's very possible. But Jacob Cohen comes off the board here, and he's gaining some steam. I want to refer to my first round of rankings or of scouting and just see what I kind of wrote about him. Shifty route runner, great space with his twitch, particularly good at the break point. Good production, over 4,000 receiving yards and 30 touchdowns in his career. Very elusive player in the open field. Broke out at the age of 18. My only concerns really is just he's not a transcendent athlete. And he's likely limited to a slot role. And he wasn't really used very much down the field. Like his route running is still in question. His average depth of target was 5.4 this year in college football, which is 228th out of 333 wide receivers with at least 50 targets. So he's not exactly a field stretcher. I comped him to Hunter Renfrow, Braxton Berrios, but I need to take a second look. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, he's not somebody I've fully scouted yet, but I keep hearing his name. Everyone keeps saying he's going to be like one of these late round sleepers. Maybe he is somebody that gets a lot of recognition and attention at I don't know, the NFL draft. Not the NFL combine, excuse me.
Sure.
But he does land with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in the 3rd round. An interesting landing spot here. You've seen the success with Baker Mayfield. What's going to happen with Mike Evans? It just feels like Mike Evans is going to stay on this team. So if he does land here, there's a lot more players and hoops that he's going to have to hurdle before he can find success with this team specifically.
It's funny, right? Because before the year, everyone's talking about the Bucs getting Drake May or
oh my goodness,
Caleb, and potentially talking about trade of Mike Evans, and he's a free agent. He's going to go somewhere where he has a quarterback he likes.
It's like the whole thing.
I mean, he is set up very well with Baker. I mean, Baker has only eyes for him. He's in love. So
yeah, 100%. People saying Baker's going to get a contract extension as well.
Yeah, it sounds like the team and him have the same goals in mind, which is cool. So Jacob Cohen off the board there, though. At the 310, Ricky Pearsall out of Florida comes off the board. And you know what? Don't have a graphic for him made yet. Sorry, guys. I need to add a Ricky.
Just have to be better.
I need to be better, honestly. I need to add Ricky Pearsall to the Photoshop. Don't have him, but he does come off the board. That's the receiver out of Florida. Man, I thought I had a graphic for him. Nope, I don't. He comes off the board in the 3rd round, and he goes to the Atlanta Falcons. And, not the most exciting landing spot, because clearly, let's just say it how it is. Ricky Pearsall is he's not like an upside wide receiver 1 talent. Like he's a good contributor, and that's probably what he'll do here in Atlanta. Contribute at times when they don't target Drake London or Pitts or Bijan. So he comes off the board there. Sorry, I didn't have a graphic for him, guys.
It's all good.
And then at the 311, another quarterback comes off the board. That is Michael Pratt out of Tulane.
Hey, future Giant quarterback, it looks like.
Yeah, where did he go to the Giants?
He went to the Giants, I think, in the 4th round. Look, I haven't scouted Michael Pratt. I haven't watched.
He's in V2.
Film.
He's coming in V2.
He isn't going to be coming in V2, but he does go to the Giants in the 4th round here. Why would you draft him? Just keep Tommy Cutlets. But hey, look at us now.
Yeah. Tommy fell off a little bit there, but it was a fun story.
Yeah, it was fun.
At the 312, talked about a fall off.
Oh my goodness, this
was at one time the most popular player in college football, period. There was not a name that people knew more than Spencer Rattler. He comes off the board here.
I remember.
At the 312. Yes, if you guys watch the QB1 show on Netflix, he rubbed people the wrong way.
I was say people hated him before my guy even went to college. So yeah, he really
just didn't really have a personality that you wanted to root for. It's kind of like, yeah, I am God's gift to earth, and you guys know it, is what he was basically trying to say. He got humbled very quickly.
Yeah, very quick.
And oddly enough, actually, the guy who went first overall in this draft, Caleb Williams, is the guy who took over for him in the Red River rivalry, where I believe they came back and beat Texas, which I'm sure Mason.
Caleb Williams came back and beat, yeah.
But Spencer comes off the board. He's still an interesting project, but obviously it's going to take the right system. He lands with the Raiders, and who's to say Aiden O'Connell is the future of that team? Why wouldn't they give Spencer Rattler a chance to kind of develop into their next starting guy? So, yeah, we'll see what happens with him. Spencer Rattler's off the board. That is the end of the third round. Now, do we really have enough players available to do a fourth round?
I personally don't even. I was going through people that I still haven't scouted. So you may have some more, but I probably haven't scouted them.
I think I have some. Let me.
I know we were going to do a Q&A.
Yeah, let's call it there. I really wish Jalen Wright was drafted though. Wait, he was drafted.
He was drafted. He went to the Ravens.
Let's end it there then. Don't worry, guys. When Sleeper actually imports the rookies, it'll be much easier for us to just select a name. But there's still some great players available. Let me just say, Jermaine Burton should have been drafted, in my opinion. Marshawn Lloyd, Malachi Corley, Brendan Rice, Cody Schrader. Those are some names as honorable mentions that I would throw out there. Malik Washington, don't sleep on Malik. Second best PFF receiving grade. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the Q&A section. We'll leave about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
To do our best to answer your guys' questions. So go ahead and throw your questions in there. Just before we do start the Q&A, we want to take a quick second and let's be honest, we're going to promote something to you guys for a second. Let's
be honest. Sit back, relax.
This is an infomercial for the next minute and a half. But if you are someone who is a, deep Dynasty player, you want to dive into the class even more, I have some fantastic news for you. Wait, there's more. We have released our 2024 Dynasty Rookie Report over on the Flock Fantasy website. Version 1 is up there. You can see it here. Now, if you want access to this, make sure you are signing up with our promo code LAND and you are choosing the Mother Flocker tier. Our promo is going to get you 30% off, but it's also going to give you a bunch of things in return. One of those is our Dynasty Rookie Report. Every time a new version comes out on the first of the month, you will get the updated version as well. But obviously, if you want to dive into this class, you want to see our Superflex 1 quarterback rankings, then you will be able to do so. You want to learn about the traits of each player, strengths, weaknesses, combine information, pro comps, projected draft capital. If you want to dive into these players, then again, use our promo code LAND when you sign up and make sure you choose the Mother Flocker tier. Some really cool features on the site now. If you want to see Superflex 1 quarterback rankings, that's available for you. You can choose a specific expert if you want. You can look at rankings only from 18 to 25, or maybe you're looking for older vets. You can, use that filter however your heart desires. We also have prospect rankings. These are going to get better and better and better. And how about this? Shout out to the dev team. Now, if you're on the Mother Flocker tier, you're going to have access to see our player profiles when you're looking at the prospect rankings. Oh, how about them upgrades? Damn. Now, we also just added, which is really cool, the trade finder. Let's say your team, you know, we just did it. Let's say they have Patrick Mahomes. And let's say the team that you're trying to trade with has Lamar Jackson. Well, what we did, which is very cool, shout out to the dev team over there, is we actually linked with Sleeper's UI to see real trades that have happened in Dynasty Leagues. You can see the exact format that they've happened. It's very, very cool. We have an incredible trade calculator as well. I'm about to take a breath. Guys, that's only what's available on the website. Now, outside of what you're getting on the website, you're also unlocking a Dynasty team review, which we do on a live stream. We're starting those tomorrow night. Join us at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You also get the Dynasty Trade Show, which is where we look at your trades on a weekly show. You also get the Fantasy Hotline, a direct DM to ask us for advice. I mean, the return is ridiculous. You're also supporting the channel. So again, use promo code LAM when you sign up to get 30% off. Make sure you choose a Mother Flocker tier, and then DM us. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have. But again, we're getting into the Q&A here. And let's see. The first question, which right now there's not, but we haven't really started it anyway. Isaiah is the first question. He says, which wide receivers outside the first round have decent, solid route running or ability to separate? The ones that would come up to me instantly would be Ladd McConkey, Jalen McMillan, Jermaine Burton as kind of my sleeper, really good route runners.
Yeah, Ladd McConkey was definitely there. I mean, we've seen a lot of Xavier Worthy not going in the first round.
Fair.
So does Xavier Worthy count if he doesn't go in the first round?
I guess he could, yeah.
Those are the guys that I would say when I think of separation.
The next question is almost impossible to answer. The question is Anthony Richardson or Jordan Love? Jordan Love, guys, there might not be a better quarterback. There might not be a better person playing the quarterback position in the last 4 weeks than Jordan Love. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. But purely from playing the quarterback position, I don't know that anyone's played it better than Jordan Love in the NFL in the past 4 or 5 weeks. I was updating my rankings recently this week, and that was my most difficult decision. Jordan Love or Anthony Richardson. I have them in the same tier. I have Jordan Love as my 8th ranked quarterback, Anthony Richardson as my 9th ranked quarterback. So it would be Love for me, but it is very close.
It is very close. It's actually very difficult to envision. You know why it's so hard when you think of someone like an Anthony Richardson and Jordan Love? Is because of Anthony Richardson's rushing ability. Jordan Love, not saying he doesn't have that, but I think he's an overall better passer, which kind of evens out when you think of it in a fantasy perspective. You were telling me Anthony Richardson is not going to be throwing the ball as much, but getting a lot of his fantasy points on the grounds, sure. But is Jordan Love going to be scoring as many touchdowns and completing as many passes as Anthony Richardson is doing? It probably evens out.
See, that's the conversation I was having with myself. But what do we want for Anthony Richardson? We want him to have top 5 upside. Jordan Love just finished as the quarterback 5.
And
he's
not taking away. Not going to take away, but this has been one of the skewest years in the quarterback position with injuries. Not saying that he couldn't have done it. I'm saying if every single quarterback was actually healthy, does he even finish top 5?
On a per game basis, Jordan Love is a quarterback 6 this year. That includes Kirk Cousins, Anthony Richardson, Russell Wilson. Name a quarterback that was injured. That includes them. On a per game basis, quarterback 6, only Joe Flacco, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Hurts, and Allen are ahead of him.
Yeah, because I mean, sheesh, you see so many quarterbacks and how that would have looked like. But look,
all I'm saying is Jordan Love has done what we want Anthony Richardson to do. He's already done it. So it's a tough question.
Yeah, it is a tough question. It is very a tough question.
If Nick Chubb is cut, is Jerome Ford the number 1, or do they draft a new lead back? Well, I don't think they cut him.
I think they bring a complimentary guy. And you think of a complimentary guy as a bigger
Well, you and I talked about this. Marshawn Lloyd would be the perfect fit to replace Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
If they move on to Nick Chubb.
Yeah, 100%. You think of other people that can come in. Now, if they get the top 3 in Trey Benson, in my opinion, top 3 is someone like actually just top 2, Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks. Goodbye, Jerome Ford. Everyone else that they bring in could complement, even if it's Audric Estime, Jalen Wright, a Bucky Irving. You think of all those guys in different ways they could complement Jerome Ford. So Jerome Ford could skyrocket, or in the video that I'm going to be releasing here this week, the running back market and what that's going to look like. And these free agent running backs might have significantly more value than you think coming into this year. Like you think of the Joe Mixons, the Saquon Barkleys, just Josh Jacobs. Do they just sign Josh Jacobs to a new deal for the Cleveland Browns and say, you know what, we have a younger running back that can produce just as good or as nearly as good as Nick Chubb did in his prime?
In 3 days, it will be a year from when I brought Jerome Ford as a buy low. He was the RB 60 at that time. I think you cash out now. You got what you wanted from Jerome Ford. You know, you can get a mid-second round pick or something like that from him. You cash out. He's a good player, but he's not good enough to the point where a free agent or a draft pick isn't going to impact him. Do you know what I mean? So that's my opinion. Sell or hold James Cook. It always all depends on the price. You know, I have said this in live streams, and I'm pretty sure I've said it in a couple of videos, but Aki's going to bring out a video this week about the free agent running backs. For me, there's only about 5 to 8 running backs I'm really willing to buy. Bijan, Brees, Gibbs, Taylor, CMC, Etienne, Achane, and I'm iffy on Kyron. Probably Kyron. Maybe not. Depends on the price. He's a little too expensive. That's kind of the end of the list for me. Everyone else, I'm not saying they won't be the starter. I'm not saying they can't be great for fantasy, but I'm probably not buying them.
Yeah.
I'd also add, just quickly to that list, like James Conner. Like these old vets that could produce that are super cheap. Derrick Henry. You can get these guys for a third. Do it, you know. But anyway, that's a different question. Do you sell or buy James Cook?
I personally believe in James Cook, and I believe that he proved that his role could be even bigger going into 2024. I think they were still stuck on bringing in somebody else to complement him as a goal line, bigger body type of guy, which they still might do. But James Cook has proven that he is the better running back when it comes down to yards per carry, yards after the catch, his vision, his ability to break tackles. James Cook can do it all. I just don't think that I don't understand how they still come back and say, we should draft another guy to complement James Conner. You can't draft him, but don't draft him.
James Cook.
James Cook. Don't draft him and say, you know what? Yeah, he's going to take at least 40% of the workload or 30% of the workload. Nah, he's coming in just to relieve James, and James is constantly going to be in. I think he's worth buying just based off on the price. Like if you're telling me you need a running back going into this year and the running backs are terrible in the second round and Benson and Brooks are off the board and go to good teams, I'll send him in second for James Cook. I don't think
that's not his price though. That's the problem. You're not getting James Cook for a mid-second. No,
I don't think you're getting James Cook for.
You're gonna have to send a first-round pick for James Cook if you really want him. No owner would send James Cook away for.
I think people are hesitant to send a first for James Cook because
if I own James Cook, you're not getting him for less than the 109, 108.
That feels absurd. And I love James Cook. If someone came to me,
I would be absolutely shocked if anyone is able to complete a deal for James Cook that is a second-round pick.
I'm thinking more like 201, 202, 203, which that's where, in my opinion, I see those running backs going. Like if you're telling me I can get the 201 and that's where Jonathan Brooks going, I want Jonathan Brooks every day. Give me the 201, right?
I would take James Cook over any running back in this class right now.
Over Trey and Jonathan Brooks?
Yes.
Okay. Good to
know.
I know
he's a starter of a team. I know he got second round capital. I know he had a good year. We like these players, but we don't know what they're going to be or where they're going to be drafted.
Yeah, I hear you.
McFreak says, or is it
JC.
Sorry. Neighbors
JC?
equals JSN plus what draft pick? I would say this. No way I'm selling JSN on any teams that I have him. This is the worst time to sell a JSN. Disappointing rookie year. Tyler Lockett's still on the team.
Pete Carroll's gone.
Like, there's going to be so many question marks. I still believe in JSN the player. I'm not a big fan of selling players on their low. Now, you might be in a different boat where you're like, I don't think JSN is ever going to become the player that we think he could be. If that's where you are, make the best decision for you. But I would not be using JSN in any trade. You're not getting the most out of that asset long term. So I would trade a different name, but not JSN. But yeah, I mean, Neighbors is worth as high as the 103 in this class, if that helps.
Yeah. Sparrow said, what pick can you get for Hawkinson in the league with a tight end premium of 1?
So that means you get 2 points per reception.
I think you can get a top 5, top 6 pick in a tight end premium.
I think the difficult part is that Brock Bowers is in this class and he's probably going 105 to 106. And I think most people are going to take Brock Bowers over Hawkinson.
Especially with the injury. Like, if Hawkinson was healthy and not going to be potentially missing time next year, I can see that. Yeah. I can see what you're saying.
I think at most you'd get the 104 or 5, but I think that's pushing it.
Yeah.
Tyson says, should I move JT or Etienne and a second or something similar for AJ Brown? Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't move both of them. Keep one of those studs, but I wouldn't mind that personally. That just shows how scarce running backs are.
Yeah. Agreed.
Zach says, what do you guys think of the Packers wide receivers and tight ends? I have them all besides Dobbs. Love them. I mean, it feels like this is a great wide receiver room out of nowhere. And it's awesome to see. Reed is a star. I think Watson, if he could stay healthy, would be a great compliment to him. Dobbs is a great third, second option at times. The tight ends are great. So it's really good for this team. For fantasy, it could get murky at times. So that is something to be aware of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels like...
I'll just say quickly, though, I think Reed separates himself from the rest. I think he's the best receiver on that team.
On the team, yeah, I agree. And I'll say the rest, that's where it becomes murky. I feel like Reed is the most confident one. But then you see as a wide receiver, too, you can be like, well, is it Christian Watson or Romeo? Obviously, you would say, yeah, Christian Watson probably is a better overall talent than Romeo Doubs and Wicks. But like, I think there's going to be a lot of I think there's going to be a lot of inconsistencies for all those three guys outside of Reed in 2024.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, let's kind of quick fire through some of these. I love that for Tyson. It is 1 p.m. and we need to eat lunch over here where we are. So let's quick fire through some of these. Of course, if you guys were a Mother Flocker member using the code LAND, you could ask us a DM question at any time. But let's quick fire. Zach says, I need Christian Watson to be traded to Carolina or something so Wicks can thrive. I love it. Tyson says, I just won my league. Should I move off Tyreek Hill before his value drops? Current wide receivers. I'll be honest. If you won your league, why not run it back? The goal is to win your fantasy league. Tyreek Hill is going to be a top 5 pick in redraft leagues next year. If you got a good team, run it back. Win as many times in a row as you can. And Tyreek, I have no reasons to believe he won't be as good of a player next year.
Yeah, I'm holding on to Tyreek until he essentially dies in fantasy. Like the Travis Kelce's, like the CMC's. Yeah. Until they officially die off, then you probably can't get any value. So you know what? I got as many championships as I could.
Mohammed says, would you keep the 107 and 108 or trade them for both a Zay Flowers or Rashee Rice and a one quarterback? I would trade the 107 or the 108 for either of those players.
I would agree.
I brought Rashee Rice as a buy low before the playoff game, and everyone said I was an idiot. They're like, you're an idiot. What are you even talking about? There's no way that Rashee Rice is a buy low or that people are selling him cheap. And if people actually watch the video, they would hear me say, pay his current price tag. Pay up for Rashee Rice because I believe he's going to cost more in a week, in a month, in 2 months from now than what he was when we released that video. And if you can get this deal done, that change hasn't happened in people's minds yet. because Rashid Rice is my wide receiver 14 in my rankings. He's absolutely worth at least the 107, 108 in a one quarterback format.
In a one quarterback format, hypothetically, if we take all the quarterbacks away from the mock draft we did today, the next best available wide receiver, according to this mock draft, was Lad McConkey.
Which I think could be a star, but you'd take the guy who's already emerged.
Exactly.
And even in a super flex league, I would do that same deal.
Yeah.
Morgan says, just won my championship. Quarterback is Allen. Running backs are Kyron, Chubb, Pollard, Warren. Wide receivers, he's got a great wide receiver room. He's got Laporta. I can keep a mix of 3. So this is a keeper league. 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. Or 4 wide receivers and 2 running backs.
2 running backs.
Well, if this is a keeper league, I'm keeping Kyron. I don't really want to keep another running back. Can you keep 5 wide receivers? I'm keeping Kyron. I'm keeping Amon-Ra, Diggs, Nico,
Yeah, I want to keep
JSN,
all those wide
Reed.
receivers.
That's what
I
would
would
do.
agree there. Chubb is in question. Paul is in question. War is in question.
Agree. Couldn't sell Cook for less than a first. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah says, speaking of not selling players at their lowest, would you accept the 101 for Fields straight up? I would take the 101 for Fields. Give me the 101.
I love Fields, but 101 is you're resetting your quarterback market, and it feels more confident there.
Thoughts on Kendre compared to this class? Now, landing spots will be important, Badaki, but if I knew that Alvin Kamara was no longer on the Saints, I would comfortably have Kendre Miller ahead of any running back in this class in my rankings. But if you're telling me Trey Benson goes to the Vikings in the second, or like today, Jonathan Brooks goes to the Texans in the second, things change a little bit, but I still like the overall talent of Trey and Jonathan Brooks over Kendre Miller personally. I would take those 2 guys over Kendre Miller. But yeah, it all depends on landing spot and where they go. Would you move the 101 for the 103 and JSN as super flex? My quarterbacks are Richardson, Trevor Lawrence.
101 and 103.
Would you move the 101 for the 103 and JSN? Honestly, yeah, I genuinely think I would. And I've said this many times. I think if you have a top 5 pick, you're sitting on gold. I think the 103 can be as valuable as the 101. The 102 can be as valuable as the 104. So, yeah, I would do that in the expectation that you have at least 5 starting wide receivers on your starting roster, right?
Yeah. I would say this. I think we can get more.
I think you can too, but
I think if
it came down to it, I'd do it. But I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah. Tyson said, what does it take to move up from the 106 to the 104 range? I don't want Bowers as I have Laporta. I want to move up for Neighbors over a Doomsday at 6.
And by the way, sorry, that question we just answered, I'm assuming it's Superflex. It is. Sorry, but for Tyson, ask the owner. That's the only way you're going to know right now.
To see what
there's
those
no
guys
way
want.
we can give you a black and white answer, in January on what these picks are worth in people's minds. So you got I'm sorry, Tyson, probably not what you want to hear, but you got to start with the owner there. All right. We need to eat lunch. Let's answer 3 more questions. Okay. Man guy friend bro says, taking Marvin Harris Jr. at 101. I need a quarterback, but really like Neighbors. I really need a quarterback, but Neighbors will be that 103. Should I take Daniels, May, or Neighbors if he's my guy? If you really need a quarterback, then I would take Caleb at the 101 and take Neighbors at the 103.
At the 103, exactly. I mean, to be honest, Marvin can fall to use the 103 depending on what the 102 does.
Probably not,
so
but it is possible.
You can get both. Yeah.
Morgan says you can keep entire. Okay, that makes sense. Got you. Austin says, you have the 101 to 104 and the 106 and one quarterback. Who are you taking? That would just be the I would go through my rankings, which for me would be Marvin, Malik, Rome, Brock. And then at the 106, I would take either Troy or Brian Thomas.
Brian Thomas, yeah.
I'd also be looking to trade some of those away as well. I wouldn't be taking every pick. Probably the 106 and 104.
Like if you can trade one of those guys to get, somebody that, a solidified names, Amon-Ra, Puka, I don't know, AJ Brown, CD, sure, why not try and do something like that?
All right, I think that's probably going to be it for today. I'm sorry, guys. We tried to answer as many as we could. All right. I know people will be upset if we stop. Sean's question is the last question we're going to do today. I'm saying it now. That's the last question we're going to do today. So up until Sean. But the next one is from Baka. Says 2 years in a row. Now down to Mahomes and a bunch of free agents in Superflex. Should I try and trade someone like Hawk to a rebuilder since he might not help me much next year? Yeah, I would definitely be open to doing that. It just, the bigger question is what would that return look like?
Yeah.
Adam says,
I'm happy.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say I'm happy to even just buy someone on the low that may not be as expensive right now. Cole Kmet. Or sorry, is it a quarterback or tight end? Yeah, tight end. A tight end on the low. Cole Kmet, a Luke Musgrave, somebody that you can kind of build on, but still have some good upside.
Would you rather have the 106 and chance to draft Odunze or Rashee Rice? That's where it gets really tough for me. The 107 onwards is super easy. Give me Rashee Rice. The 106 is where it becomes very difficult because if Odunze lands in like a spot where he's very necessary, even if he goes to the Giants, I know it's not exciting, but he's the number one there, and I think he's a better prospect. You know, if he goes to the Broncos,
the
Saints, even with Olave there, so that's a tough call.
That is a tough call.
I can't answer that well right now. We are in Sydney at the moment, Sydney, Australia.
Mate.
And then Sean is the last question we're answering today. He says, would you trade Jamar for Brees and JSN or London?
Or Brees and JSN or London?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
I need to know the league settings.
Jamar Chase for Brees and JSN or London.
I need to know the league settings.
I think I would keep Jamar, depending on your running. Like if your running back room is really bad, like let's say you have James Cook and Kendre Miller you're building on, but you have Jamar Chase, but like you really want to upgrade. You really want to upgrade at the wide receiver position or at the running back position. I think I'd just rather keep Jamar Chase and keep riding with those guys.
Chase is just not an asset you really ever want to trade away. His running backs are 18 and Jacobs. Keep Chase. Keep Chase.
Yeah, keep Chase. Like I think that there's no point, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, you get Brees, you can upgrade, but then what? You trade one of those three running backs, and you're not going to be able to get someone as good as a Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Greg, I read your question. I would just go best player available at all times. I would never draft for need in a rookie draft, my man. I'm sure we'll get that down as we get closer to the draft. Appreciate you, TD. Yes, we do. FR. Thank you, Office Depot. We appreciate y'all. So much love. Drop a like on the stream if you have yet to do so. Subscribe as we're on the road to 15K. If you want to see more content from us, we released our rookie rankings this morning on the channel. Go check that out. But that's it. All love. Have a good night.